Hello, everyone. I am Cynthia Ford with Beyond Empowerment, and today we're here with author Keeya McSwain's, and she is going to share some information with us about her book, From Fabulous to Famous, and also share some wonderful tips with teens. So I'm excited to hear this wealth of knowledge that she has waiting for us. So tell us about yourself and From Fabulous to Famous.
Okay, thank you, Cynthia. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Um, let's see. Um, well, From Fatherless Famous came out. It was 2016. I published it, so I'm a self-published author. And how did it become about? It was something I never thought I would do. I'm not. People think, oh, I didn't know you were a writer, and I'm like, I'm really not a writer at heart. It was more of a message that I wanted to get out there for youth to possibly save lives and help change that. And the idea came from probably 2014, 2015, where my middle son, whose father was absent, I have
Mm-hmm.
three boys. The oldest son father was very active in his life, and the second son father was absent.
Right.
So we lived in the suburbs of Detroit, and he will always see all his friends going to school with fathers, walking them to school, being involved in things. So he would ask, one day he came home, he said, Mom, how come I am the only kid in the world who doesn't have a father? And I'm like, oh my God, that's how he viewed it from
Yeah.
his surroundings. And
In the world. He said in the world.
so I felt really bad. So I was like, no. And I started explaining to him, you're not. But then I realized, what he's seeing, that's his reality. So then I thought about how many other children are out here feeling the same way. And single moms that may be raising their boys or girls,
Yeah.
just raising them and not necessarily always explaining or trying to put the emphasis on why the parent is absent, because really sometimes we don't know. We don't want to make up stuff. So, with that being said, I just made sure, I said, well, let me make sure I'm explaining it to them the best I can. And then I want to create um, a platform or opportunities for children who also may be feeling that same way, filling that void and giving them examples. So that's how the book From Fatherless to Famous became about. Pretty much each chapter is about different celebrities or people, prominent people throughout our lives that we all know a little bit about, but probably did not know. We know what they're famous for, but we probably didn't know what they went through to get to that point and that they grew up without their fathers.
Right.
And as some of the examples I have, well, I'll just let you know. The chapters are, the first one is Malcolm X,
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Hart, Jill Scott, LeBron James, Jay-Z, Dr. Ben Carson, Mary J. Blige, and Kanye West. And then I have other people in the back. And of course, there's hundreds more. Like this could have been a full series, but I just wanted to make a point of, just a few so that when children, like each chapter is different. So my hope is that when a child or the teen reads the chapter, let's just say for Kevin Hart, that they can relate to it because his father was addicted to drugs and alcohol. And
Right.
so sometimes they see that in their everyday life, or they see that with their own parents, or sometimes both parents, or just one. So I try to put situations where they can relate to and realize, like, well, he grew up like this,
Yes.
but yet he's Kevin Hart,
Yes.
So
That's so true.
like, well, LeBron James, a lot of people don't know that they probably think his father was out there helping him throughout all those years. No, his father was incarcerated most of those years.
Mm-hmm.
Just motivation for them to realize, like, okay, these people didn't just come famous because they have full family support and they just had the whole, the whole what you call it, the white picket fist type, family, and the stereotype of that behind it. So just kind of each chapter is hopefully is different situations. Like Mary J. Blige, her mom had to jump from house to house to house, living, from abusive father who did PTSD. So various situations, and my goal was again to help motivate the youth as they read, they can relate to at least one of the stories and help them realize that you can still become whatever you want in life, regardless of your situations, and you can overcome those adversities.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I think it's excellent. This is definitely needed for our youth and for them to know that they're not alone. I mean, they're not the only child in the world without a present father. They obviously have a father, but having a present father makes a difference. And, sometimes people can have fathers in the home, but still be absent. So having
Yeah.
someone who is present makes a huge difference, and I'm grateful that you brought that platform forth for an additional support for our young people. So thank you for taking the time and putting all of that together. I know that was, that took some work in order to be able to research that and pull all of those pieces together to make that platform for our young people.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, and like you said, it's more so I put a little bit of the statistics in the book as well in the beginning and
Right.
talk about that. Because some people think, oh, well, you have your mom and dad in the house, so you
Right.
grew up perfect. No, that's not the case if they weren't active and if they didn't know how to be a mom and a father. Like my dad was in and out of our lives, in and out of jail as I grew up, and I had to see a lot of things. And then, so even as an adult, I look back and I was upset that I didn't know certain things. And so but for me, unlike some kids, I observed my situations that I was in and my environments, and I realized this is not what I want, and I need to be better than what I've been exposed to. But some kids fall a victim. That's what the book is kind of about, trying to help kids, let them know you don't have to become another statistic or fall a victim of your environment.
And we have enough statistics.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, you got your beach scene going on back there.
Yeah.
I love the beach. I love just going to the beach, seeing the beach, reading on the beach. Speaking of reading, why is it so critical for young people to get into reading?
Um, it's a lot of reasons why it's important. And then again, for me as a mom of 3 boys, it's like I see each one of my children are different. Like my oldest, he was a huge avid reader. He read novels at a young age, and that's because I put the books in his hands. Right, me and his father, we loved reading. And then and overall for my second son, it's more of a struggle for him. So I think it's important for parents or caregivers or people that's in in a community with other children, I think they should help expose the children to the different genres that's out there. Like I think some kids don't like to read because they're just whatever the teacher is giving to them is not an interest. I think it's important that they understand it's going to help them academically. It's going to help them with their mindset to be more open-minded, and then they get to be exposed to different situations, like understanding that so everybody has problems. Their mindset, it opens up their mind.
Yeah.
It's such a benefit to it. But I think what's more important is, like, some kids don't like to have the physical book. So I found out my middle son, okay, he likes ebooks. The audio books work well for him. And so I think that's important for parents, instead of just thinking that just because we like to open up a hard book.
Yeah.
So the audio books may work, or the Kindle books and things like that. So thankfully we have those options now, right? So that the kids will, lose that attention span. And that played a big part when I made my ebook. I went through a lot of interviews with the person who I finally settled with the audio voice, to make sure that she was bringing in the what I needed for the listener to hear, the children. So, and then she also I wanted somebody who can relate to the stories. So.
That's right. And you're reaching them, you're touching them at the level where they are. No matter where they are, you're still able to reach them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've had the experience of raising a teenager. You have teenagers. Can you share some tips for our teenagers?
I think it's important for our teenagers today to be definitely open-minded and learn your listening skills. Because a lot of times, even as a parent, I find myself talking and saying the same things over and over, and I realize they hear me, but they're not listening. So I think, as teenagers, as they go through life, just be open to listening sometimes to your neighbor or the older people in your family, or people, because, sometimes kids think that they don't need to hear it. But I think that's really important for them to just open up their mind frame, to just be able to take it in, not always having a response. And to know that there are so many people out here with various situations. And we all struggle on different levels. It might not be emotionally, but it might be mentally. Some people physically, some kids are just, maybe feeling entitled because they think they don't have any issues. So I think just staying open-minded and knowing that sometimes there's always someone else out here in worse situations, and just being grateful. And I think also for teenagers, right now with the COVID situation, I think it's important for them to take advantage of the free resources, educational free resources, and all the extra time that they have. Don't just make it a whole bunch of free time. Oh, let's go play, you know,
Right.
waiting your parent to push you
Yeah.
to join a free program or check out your libraries and things like that. Just kind of start volunteering and making yourself available, you know, getting to know what's going on in your community. It makes you a better person overall too.
Right. You know, I personally began to focus more on the importance of being purposeful with your time. You know, I thought about how much time I've wasted. You know, I can't go back and get the time that I've wasted, but going forward, I will be purposeful with my time. So that's a very good point. We're teaching them to acknowledge that. Don't waste your time. Even at a young age, you think you have forever, but you really don't. You don't know when your time stops. So,
Yeah, and try to just, you know, you don't have to rush to be an adult, but you should, you know, make goals for yourself. Make a weekly goal, make a monthly goal, you know, then a yearly goal possibly.
mm-hmm.
And that sometimes as kids, it may be a struggle, but as a parent of a teenager, I see that when I tell my son, so, you know, make your goals, and when he doesn't, he comes to me with the last minute stuff. I'm like, I really can't help you because we talked, you know, that should have kind of been into play. And so just, you know, having a goal set for yourself, whether it be short term or long term.
Good point.
Yeah.
Very good point. You know, as they prepare these goals, they're thinking about their future. And I know we had talked, you know, off the interview about students preparing for their future, going to college and making that decision. What are your tips or what are your suggestions as it relates to that?
I think it's important for children not to necessarily always have that decision made, you know, at ninth grade or 10th grade, but that goes back to reading and exposing yourself and getting to understand that there is a life outside of the 4-year, you know, traditional college. You don't have to do that. You know, my oldest son, I thought because he was a high academic learner, I thought that he was going to college just because he went to the Air Force. And I'm like, that's okay. So that I think, and for my second son, he's like, oh, in ninth grade, I'm not doing 4-year. I'm doing I'm doing trade school. So trade school is fine, but I think it's important to know there's hundreds of trades out there. So just do your research and ask questions. Don't be afraid. You know, again, goes back to reading and do your research and, you know, talk to neighbors, talk to your family about different things. And then, of course, as parents and aunts and uncles, it's important for us to pay attention to the children in our lives because those skills sometimes you may see there at an early age. And it's important for us to hone in on that and expose them to those traits that the skills that they may have to be successful in those trades. So,
you give them a bonus today because you have a tip for a parent as well. Because just in case they didn't choose that particular path or career that they thought that their child should choose, what is that parent supposed to do? So they get a bonus from you today.
Yeah, because I think it's important because I think some parents, you know, my son he's like, I thought you wanted me to follow your footsteps. I'm like, no, this is your life. You know, you have to live it. That's the route I chose. And when I, you know, look back, you know, even though I became a senior project manager, things like that, I wish sometimes I didn't go to grad school because, you know, the cost. I wish I would have just did it a different way where it was paid for a way. But, you know, don't get yourself in debt if you don't have to. Do your research and see how you can avoid the loans if you don't have those scholarships for sure.
Right.
Yeah. So it's important for parents to, I think, listen and pay attention to, you know, the kids are telling them and what they like to do because it's not always about the 4-year degree anymore.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited about this knowledge that you've shared today. And I told everyone at the beginning that you have a wealth of knowledge that you were sharing. And this is just not even the tip of the surface, you know, for the things that you have within you that you are sharing with our young people. So how can we purchase your book? You know, my book, I already know my book is going to be on the way this week. And I'm ready to, you know, dive into it. But how can everyone purchase your book?
Okay, so it can be purchased. You can go directly to my website, which is www.fatherlesstofamous.com. If you have Amazon Prime, you're definitely welcome to go to Amazon and order it directly from Amazon or Kindle ebook. It's $3.99. I'll be running a special here shortly. You can get it on what is the Apple? The iBook. I'm not an Apple person at all, but it's available on many platforms as far as the ebook. And some of those are on my website as well. If you order directly from the website, then I mail it out to you. However, people can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook at fatherlesstofamous.com.
Okay.
And if you go to the website, I ask people to subscribe because we didn't get a chance to have our youth empowerment this year, but definitely we should be back up and running next year. And I have some parents who ask me when it's going to happen again. And if you join the mailing list, I'll keep you up to par on when the next event will be. And I'm looking to partner with more nonprofit organizations. I am partnering with one that's coming up in the next few weeks. Called Kings Growing Kings by Hard Grinders. And I'm just looking to partner with anyone who's working with you. It's so important for these messages to get out there. And it's not enough. It's never enough. Even if I do my program, I've only was doing it I did that 1 year, and I feel like I need to do it more often, more with organizations. There's so many children that need to be reached.
Tell us about youth empowerment right quick.
The youth empowerment. So that was a small little youth empowerment program that I put together for not necessarily fatherless children, because there was some fathers who brought their kids. So the theme was breaking the box of stereotypes. So the stereotype of not being fatherless, but we didn't put the emphasis, the curriculum wasn't on if you're fatherless, So we had children there, again, that weren't in a two-family household, but they loved the program. So it's an interactive program that went on 2018. So we missed 2019. And I plan to have it every year. And it was middle school and high school. And it was during that time a program where I offered at a very low discounted rate. Pretty much I raised funds for the youth. And the purpose, again, was to get them to understand the stereotypes of the world, the stereotypes against them. And it was really a phenomenal program because, again, it helps open up their minds, and help them think in a different way of how people view us and how also view the world, So it was an interactive program, and most of the kids didn't know each other, but by the end of it, because it was interactive, they knew each other, they felt comfortable. You see the kids when they come in and they're quiet, they don't want to really be there because they parents brought different situations, but by the end they're like, it's time to go already. So I'm looking forward to having that program again, breaking the box of stereotypes, because we want to raise and have healthy mindsets for our kids and kids in our community.
That's right. That is so true. Well, you guys have heard it. From Fatherless to Famous. Please get your copy of the book. Purchase it for your young people. Continue to follow them on Facebook and Instagram. Check out their website. You will be glad that you did. And I'm grateful that you took out the time to share with us today on Beyond Empowerment. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much.
So I look forward to seeing you hopefully one day soon.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.